Okay, so someone DM'd me earlier and asked me, basically, they're polyamorous. They have children. They're dating. And they're also getting divorced, but the divorce is not final. And they asked, like, how do you polyamory and parent in this sort of situation? When do you tell the kids all that? I'm going to do an expanded essay on this on the Patreon in like a more focused way, but I thought this was a really good question because obviously I've been in this situation. You've been in this situation, sort of. I mean, my spouse is no longer polyamorous. Yours is.
Right. And my situation was a little different because we were very much out at that point.
Yes. But this is a hard needle to thread. And I feel like you do need privacy, especially if you're in a contentious divorce and ex situation. So, yes, like, always consider your privacy first.
I think it's both your privacy and also your potential rights and safety around the divorce, right? Because the most common sort of legal stumbling block for polyamorous parents is their co-parents. Right?
Yeah.
So depending what state you're in, what your local judges are like, stuff like that, it might be easier to keep this information more private, more closeted,
till the custody order is final.
Right.
Not necessarily the divorce and the property, but the custody order. Once that's in place,
right, you can figure out more of it.
And I think, too, it's like telling your children. So if you only have one partner you're introducing them to.
Right. It's less of a big deal. That's a normal thing that happens.
Yeah. And, like, let your ex be mad. They're just going to be mad.
Yeah.
And that's fine. And they could just be mad. But they don't get a say in what you're doing anyway.
Correct.
Even though we feel like they do.
And also, like, if your new partner is super open and doesn't want to be introduced to your kids unless they're being introduced to your kids in a particularly open way, or like with their spouse involved, or if it's someone who was a friend before and your kids know that they're married or whatever, that might mean that you don't introduce this person as a partner at this time. You wait a little while.
And I think, too, like, you can introduce your partner without introducing all of the polyamory. Like, you can do a slower rollout, right? Yeah. And I would say, like, in my case, I had this partner when I left the marriage. So there was no more introductions that had to happen. And that was a bit of an easier position. And my ex knew them and my ex trusted them, even though, like, he acted like he didn't. But that's, like, a side note, right? So it's just like I'm introducing this new person is a really big post-divorce step anyway.
And the age of your children matters a ton, both in their reception of this information and in what information you want to share and how. Like, a teenage kid both might have some sense that you're doing something that's outside of the norm or not as good or whatever, but also might more quickly pick up on cues that you are actually dating if you're going out in a way where you're, like, dressed a little differently or you have makeup or whatever at a time when they're with you. Yeah. So you might want to keep that more in mind.
Smaller children might be a little more open-minded.
Right.
More accepting of a new partner even. Right. Whereas, like, 9 to 12, it could really go either way depending on the personality of your child.
Yeah, and you know your children better than we do or than anyone else does.
Yeah. And I think the hardest part in going through a divorce is, like, detaching and figuring out, what do I need to tell my ex? What do I not need to tell my ex? And, like, what am I comfortable with them knowing and not knowing and them being mad?